Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in this sped up video, what we're going to be talking about is mileage when drawing, and specifically mileage when it comes to improvement. This is something that I am constantly kind of struggling with at the moment. And am working to improve that. So, when I'm talking about mileage, I'm talking about just really when it comes down to it, just putting in the work and drawing. Drawing a lot, drawing many images, many pictures, sketches, whatever you want to call it, putting in the work to improve. And more specifically, drawing things that one likes or one wants to improve in or is struggling with. An example would be, actually a few examples I guess I can go over. One is I want to improve drawing the female character, but also just the character in general. Drawing the character in different poses doesn't have to necessarily be clothed at the time, but understanding the structure underneath the clothing. So how the body twists and turns and how the body looks at certain angles, as well as improving drawing different faces, in turn being able to draw different characters. And that requires me putting in the practice of drawing those things. One of the things that I'm doing to kind of help me put in the mileage is drawing just tons of figures in my sketchbook. They don't have to be fully clothed or fully, what's the word I'm looking for? Design. Like, it's not, I mean, if I want to turn them into characters, I can, but it's the mileage of actually drawing poses and different poses, and not just the same 3/4 heroic pose that you see, or a straight on shot, or a side view. Like, I want to have these poses of people in action and poses that I normally would not draw, and really not just copying the pose, but really trying to understand the mechanics of that pose so that way I can try to save some of that information, because I know I won't be able to save it all in one session, but save some of that information to be able to incorporate it into excuse me, into another image that maybe might be similar. This also goes with things like hairstyles and hands, and learning how to draw folds and wrinkles. Like, all that stuff is just putting in the mileage and learning as well, being able to take the time to sit back and analyze your drawings and or other drawings or photos. I feel like that also is included in mileage too. It's something I really don't think I've seen artists really talk about. Too many artists talk about really analyzing their images after they've drawn them to see where they can improve. It's just kind of putting in the work um, as far as drawing, but I haven't seen too many people talk about going back and analyzing old drawings. So yeah, uh, and that also goes with rendering. One of the things that I've been working on within, I want to say, the past, excuse me, the past maybe 6 months or so, a little bit, if not a little bit longer, is trying to improve my rendering skills, and that specifically dealing with penciling. So penciling, when I say rendering, I mean shading, but specifically traditional with pencil. Since I haven't, even though I use digital for some things, I'm not comfortable with it, and that hasn't been my focus. My focus has specifically been on the traditional aspect of my work. So that's one of the things that I'm working on to improve, is not only my posing, but also my rendering and things like that. And I've mentioned this multiple times before in my videos, just with the full progress videos of my comics, and then I think even with some of the sped up ones, that I know that I will improve as time goes on, right? I don't expect my rendering skills to stay the same. Hopefully, I'm not expecting my rendering skills to look the same in 2 years as they do right now. I'm expecting, with consistent work, for that skill to improve, just as well with my figure drawing, being able to draw clothing, and my character designing, and those categories in particular. So I'm expecting that over the years those will improve as I continue to work on them, and understanding that that's okay, that's completely fine, and that I don't need to constantly redo something over and over and over again just because I've improved. An example of this would be, and I've mentioned this before, not restarting my comic again for a third or fourth time just because my skills have improved. It's continuing on even after I've improved, and just letting the work be the work that it is, and just letting it stand by itself without feeling this need to excuse me, feeling this need to constantly redo it because I've improved. Because in that case, I don't think I would ever get my projects done, because I don't want to say always, but I think for the most part, you're always going to be improving if you're putting in the work and the mileage. So if you're constantly rebooting something, it's just never going to get done, right? You're never going to be able to finish that project and move on to the next one. So yeah, putting in the mileage when you're looking to improve. And I guess I could go a little bit further into that. And what I mean is, learn the thing that you need to learn. Take the course that you need to take, or that you feel like you need to take, and work with the information that you have learned, and build on that, and take that information and work with what you've been taught. Don't go looking for another course on the same subject right after you just finished the previous course. And I'll give an example. I did the course, there's two courses that I did that kind of helped, that actually they both helped in their own ways. But I'll give an example. There is two courses that I took for figure drawing. One was by, it's his pen name, but it's Rich Grayson with two N's on YouTube and Udemy. And he had a 30-day anatomy drawing course. And it took me longer than 30 days because I was working two jobs at the time. And then there was another course called The Structure of Man by Reverend Phoenix. It's actually on Udemy, and it's actually on YouTube now. He released it on YouTube. If I can find it. But it's called Figure Drawing with Reverend Phoenix on Udemy, and it might be the same thing on YouTube. But you can look up Reverend Phoenix, RivenPhoenix, and you can see his whole entire drawing course. But that course is like over 92 hours. But it's both of these are drawing courses and are valuable in their own way. Reverend Phoenix kind of literally starts from the stick figure and works his way through every single muscle, even though I feel like sometimes it's not really needed. Like he's talking about like the muscles in the feet and stuff. I do understand that it kind of helps you understand how the human figure is actually put together, and how and why certain things look the way they do because of the muscle and the fat tissue and stuff like that. Reverend Phoenix, his is more of a more simplified breakdown and gives you the needed information. Stop it. The needed information to create the figure and the poses that you need. I think the only thing that Reverend Phoenix doesn't do in his 30-day course is go over too much in detail about the facial features. I think he does at some point in his newer course when it comes to the figure drawing, but I don't think so. I don't think that was the case in his old one, which is completely fine, because the face and drawing different faces is a whole separate thing on its own. So, but taking those courses and taking the information that I've learned from those courses and applying those over and over and over and over and over again, until they pretty much have solidified and kind of become a part of my drawing process, instead of doing these courses and then the first time I run into an issue when it comes to drawing the figure, instead of running and trying to find another course because I think that the courses that I previously took didn't do quote unquote their job by allowing me to be able to draw the human figure right out the gate perfectly from imagination, taking what I've learned from those courses and applying it and seeing how I can apply that information with where I'm currently struggling at. And there are even professionals who there are certain poses they struggle with because they just don't draw them often, and that's okay. And so it's taking the information that you've learned from a particular course and applying it until you are so familiar with it, and can really apply that to almost anything that you're drawing within the subject matter that it's teaching. All right. I'm not expecting to be able to draw fully rendered detailed backgrounds from imagination by taking courses that deal with just drawing anatomy, human anatomy. I'm not expecting to draw random creatures from imagination by taking a course dealing with drawing the human figure, right? But it's taking going back to it. So taking the information that I've learned and applying that to hundreds, if not thousands, of figures to really solidify that information in my head, and not feeling like, oh, because I hit a little bit of a roadblock and I'm not familiar with this particular thing, now I need to go buy another course to hopefully think that I'm going to get the information that I need, or that this course will now provide me the information that I needed. And then, say if I do that, then the next challenge I come across with drawing the figure, I had another roadblock, and now I feel like I need to go and buy another course or take another course or buy another book. Sometimes it's just learning what you need to learn, and then putting in the mileage behind that. And like I said, that doesn't mean, take a course and then draw 10 figures and think that you're going to be an expert in it, quote unquote expert. That means taking what you've learned and applying it to, like I said, hundreds, if not thousands, of figures over and over and over again. And like I said, that part of really going back and analyzing your work and seeing where you're struggling at and where you need to maybe do a little bit more deep studying on, or reference drawing to really understand certain aspects. Like for me, one thing that I know that I need to work on is the neck and shoulder connection, and specifically more so when the arms are in motion. If the arm is raised, if it's moved forward in the body, or if it's pushed back. Those are things that I know I need to study, because there's a lot of movement and stuff going on there, and how the not necessarily the muscles connect, but how the skin looks in those particular poses. Because at the end of the day, the muscle underneath is not what I'm trying to memorize. It's how can I draw that particular pose and make it look believable with how the skin overlaps one another in certain areas, or pulls or pushes in certain areas, and making that look believable. So that's what I mean by that. So I'm hoping that makes sense. But that's all I wanted to say. Like, yeah, if you're practicing whatever skill it is, you don't always need the new course or the new book. Sometimes it really is just putting in the mileage after learning what you've learned. You can probably hear my dog in the background drinking water. But that's all I have to say. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video.